down the hatches to prepare for Winter Storm Fern. We hope we can get an episode of the Campus Comics Cast out for your enjoyment just in time as you get snowed in. This is Scott Reed, and I'm joined in this episode by
Mike Atchison.
All right, and we're going to talk about, in this episode, the first 5 appearances of one Grimjack, and then we're going to go into one of my current favorite titles, which is The Future Is, and assuming we don't forget and have time, we will probably end the episode with CLZ Shake. But Mike, you got anything you want to talk about before we dive into talking about Grimjack?
Yeah.
And how many more times can I say talking about is what I want to know.
I want to talk about how many times you've talked about it.
Well, let's talk about that, Mike. What form of talking about it do you want that to take? So.
I think since we're recording at an unusual time, we're recording fairly early in the morning for us. It's not usually the way we do it. I need to get my voice warmed up anyway, so I don't sound all gravelly. But so I'm glad to be doing this. But I want to say Winter Storm Fern. Every time I forget that we started naming winter storms. That's something new.
It's the most absurd thing.
It kind of is.
It's the Weather Channel just needs something to talk about. So it's like, we did it with hurricanes. Let's talk about, winter storms and name them. So
pretty soon we'll have, a thunderstorm Charlie.
Yeah.
And right.
So it's
and
the thing about winter storms. It's just, I don't know. It's just nonsense to me. So it's like we've got a snowstorm coming. Allegedly, we'll see.
There's a whole category of nerds in weather stuff. So I'm sure that they have a very specific criteria to get a name. Yeah.
Yes. So
anyway, that was a tangent. Not really anything else.
Tangent of all tangents. Well, we had to get us off of the talking about topic,
Right.
So, that's what we needed.
Right.
So, so Mike, you got an intro, a little background information for Grimjack for us?
Yeah, because for reasons we may get into later, I did put together, just researched a little bit of the publication history of Grimjack, partly because, it's an independent. He wasn't part of the big two, but I always find these multiple publisher situations interesting, and I'm just going to go through a few of my notes here. So,
sure.
First of all, he appeared in just a silhouette for the first time in Warp number 5, and that was from First Comics.
Yes.
You and I have talked about this. This preceded his own series by far. But his first real appearance that we're counting as far as our review is Star Slayer number 10 as an 8-page backup, and that ran for past the first 5 to I think like issue 17 or 18. That I think one of the last times before he got his own title, he did team up with Star Slayer in the main. I guess it was a full comic story where he and Star Slayer by Mike Grell at the time, and maybe by that time it wasn't Mike Grell. It might have been actually John Ostrander. But anyway, so this Grimjack guy, he's like I read this somewhere and I just had to write it all down. He's a former soldier, former policeman, former spy, former private investigator, former bounty hunter, and now he's making a living in a lot of different ways. But his main headquarters is Munden's Bar in a city that's like in a not so distant future of Earth, dystopic. It's called Cynosure.
That's how I was pronouncing it as I was reading it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The multi-dimensional city.
Yes.
Of Cynosure.
Yes.
That's
sort of
the
like
important part, I think, to the story.
Exactly. It's like you got all of these sort of characters and alien-looking creatures that pass through this city because their universes all overlap at this particular point in time and space. It's got this look it reminds me of what's the cantina in Star Wars, the Mos Eisley. Yeah, kind of remind me of that. Yeah. So, but anyway, so the first 6 issues of Star Slayer, which were actually published by a different company called Pacific Comics, and issue 2 of Star Slayer was the first appearance of you-know-who. I don't need to say that. Yes, it was Rocketeer. So that's
Rocketeer.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah, I mean, I just it's just interesting that these characters, Rocketeer actually had a movie, and
Hmm.
he appeared in a backup in I guess as a last minute deal where they were looking for to fill some pages, and the owners of Pacific Comics ran into Dave Stevens, etc. But this isn't a podcast about Rocketeer. This is Grimjack.
No.
So, uh,
But speaking of movies,
yeah.
and you probably have this in your notes, but apparently this is according to Key Collector. Back in 2020, actually 2019, the Russo brothers, who have done some of the Marvel movies,
Hmm.
announced that they were doing a film adaptation of Grimjack. And I guess that was going to be something that was going to be put on Amazon, but now we're 6 years later almost,
Yeah, and
and
I think
we
that
have
was
not seen any additional work done in that area. So
I want to say that was going to be animated anyway, wasn't it? And not live
it doesn't
action.
say on it just says a adaption. My notes again. I'm just pulling this straight from Key Collector. It doesn't say animated. It just says screenplay has been completed, is intended for Amazon. It doesn't say if it's animated or feature or what. So
Yeah, and somewhere in my notes, I think I have that Straczynski had a
wow.
screenplay or had plans to adapt the character into a live action movie back in the 90s, but didn't go
Oh
anywhere.
wow, okay.
I think that's
Because there was another character from which was Sable, which was a Mike Grell character
yeah.
that actually did get a TV show.
Oh, I don't think I knew
Not too
that.
terribly long. Yeah, it was only lasted like one season.
Oh,
So yeah,
John
but
Sable
there's
freelance. Yeah.
yeah, it had a TV show,
Oh, cool.
back in the day. So yeah.
That's another character I want to maybe read up on sometime. But anyway, so once Grimjack graduated to his own title in First Comics, it ran from August of '84 until April of '91 and ending with issue 81. All of the
81.
stories,
Okay.
all of the stories were written by John Ostrander, who I didn't I first knew of him from Suicide Squad back in the late
Hmm.
'80s,
Yes.
and of course this whole run of Grimjack, the first batch of issues and stories were by Tim Truman, but you
Hmm.
also had later on Steve Pugh, Tom Sutton, Tom Mandrake, to name a few. Um, and with issue 55, this gets a little bit convoluted because one of the things I was reading is that you had a lot of just like a lot of characters back in the day and currently, they die and they resurrect. They die and they resurrect. Well, at some point, John Gaunt, which is a play off
Hmm.
Shakespeare or John Gaunt or John of Gaunt, um, that was at some point he actually did die, but he was reincarnated 200 years in their future as James
Okay.
Twilly. So
Okay. That
uh,
almost feels a little like the Jonah Hex thing. Was
yeah,
that before or after Hex?
um, I'd say before.
Oh
I
wow.
mean,
Okay. So maybe
Hex came about like right after or during Crisis.
okay. So that would have been in the 80s, later 80s,
It
right?
would have been
Well,
86,
mid
probably
80s.
85 or
Yeah.
86. So I'd say it
Okay.
must have been after Hex because if issue 5, say, would have been like 88 or 89, maybe.
Okay. And they were doing monthlies.
Yeah,
6 years. So yeah, it probably would have been more like 90 because it didn't. Yeah,
yeah,
probably been more like 90 before that started. So
probably.
okay.
Um,
It just reminded me when you were talking about that. It reminded me of the post-apocalyptic future that just reminded me of Hex
right,
for
right.
some reason.
Just
So
shot in the future. But in this case, he had a whole different name to go along. I mean, he was still Grimjack, I guess, but he was
yeah.
not John Gaunt anymore. He was James Twilly. And one thing I found was interesting is that they ended the series not because of low sales. It had to do with a venture that the owners of First Comics made with reviving Classics Illustrated and made them go belly up. So
Oh, okay.
there could because they went into bankruptcy. Um, Grimjack was not able to be like picked up and gone with taken to a new publisher. So that's why we didn't really see anything of the character for a long time. I guess it was 2005 once Mike Gold, the editor of the series and of the this collection, this Legend of Grimjack that you and I both got to get to
Hmm.
read these. It wasn't until 2005 that they were able to actually republish some of these stories. So,
So I guess First must have had at least some percentage of the rights to the character, even though it was independently owned by
Correct.
Ostrander and
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
okay.
And it was IDW that put this trade together,
Yes.
this
Yeah.
collection. But yeah, that's really all I have until later on. Maybe I do have a list of, because of this, Cynosure and Munden's Bar being at this nexus of universes. There's a lot of guest appearances, official or otherwise, that show up. So, you know how I
Even
like
some
that.
Marvel Comics guest
That's
appearances,
right.
right?
That's right.
That's right. So okay.
So yeah,
well, Mike, do you want to? I'll let you go first on what was your first introduction to Grimjack. Do you remember?
it was. I think probably around the same time that I
Weird.
heard of. I don't need to sound any more country than I am. Uh, that you just have this sort of peripheral knowledge of all of these independent titles and their
Yep.
characters, like Pacific, our first, our Eclipse, or whatever. So,
Yep.
I think I just knew of the character as well as I knew of, say, Nexus or Badger or Dreadstar or
Okay.
something like that. Never had
Yep.
any inclination to pick up the books because I guess for right or for wrong, I was always sort of a straight superhero type
DC
reader,
guy. Yeah.
DC guy, yeah. So that's all I can say about my first introduction. Really, this is it. I mean,
Okay. Well, I have a very strong memory of being at Campus Comics whenever it was on 51 on the strip in Carbondale
hmm
and seeing the cover to Grimjack 4. And I am certain that I had to have bought it because I know I have every time like I'm flipping through a collection and I see that Grimjack issue number 4, it's like something pops in my brain. It's like I remember that.
right.
Whereas most of the other covers I don't have any memory of. So I'm going to assume that I must have purchased and read that issue just because of the cover. It's got Grimjack. He's got like guns pointing, kind of off to the side, and it's kind of a, I don't know. I believe it's a Tim Truman cover, and I don't know if I guess it just like caught my attention whenever that was on the shelf initially. I know I've owned it multiple times, but as we were reading this, it's like I don't remember anything about the whole multi-dimensional stuff. None of that rings a bell with me at all. So I guess I really just was my only real memory of him was he was a guy who used weapons, kind of a mercenary guy.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the extent of my actual remembrance of the character. So that issue 4 came out in September of 1984.
Wow.
So that would have been about whenever I first encountered this character. So I was, being driven to the Campus Comics shop. I wasn't even old enough to drive yet. Somebody was driving me to Campus Comics to pick those up. And in fact, that is pretty close to whenever Campus Comics opened up as well. Because I can't remember what year they actually opened.
Yeah, I don't think
But,
I made my first visit there, and I think around 89,
okay.
88 or 89. So I wasn't around about the time you're talking about.
Okay. So what then are your thoughts on this version, what we see here of Grimjack?
Well, first I want to comment that if you don't remember the multi-universe, multi-dimensional part of it, then to me that was the most interesting part anyway.
Yeah.
If you don't remember
Yeah.
that, then this definitely didn't have much of an impact on you. So
No, yeah, it did not. And like I said, I'm not particularly impressed with this character either, which I hate to say, give away this early in our conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm probably not going to finish the trade. So
yeah, well, I did finish it just by momentum. But you asked what my initial thoughts were of the original character, original version,
yes.
which I'd say the original was pretty much the same, except for maybe the changing to James Twilly. He's still Grimjack, so still has that scar across his eye. I think it was very of its time, 80s sci-fi. I've read a lot of subpar 80s sci-fi, 70s and 80s sci-fi stories, miniseries, things like that, to varying degree of enjoyment. But I think as I was flipping through it again, I can appreciate the art and kind of enjoy some of the aspects that made it. I can see why it was appealing back then. That his his dragon or lizard Bob or whatever,
Yeah.
his little sidekick was kind of amusing.
Yeah.
It's just being set in a rough and tumble bar with a very diverse clientele made it sort of cool. Um, and his look is a little bit different. He's not your typical laser toting sci-fi hero or anti-hero. He's got a literally a uh, what's what's the Prince song? He's got like a raspberry beret. Yeah,
Raspberry. Yeah.
with two feathers. And I don't. He's got a big scar across his eye, and he holds his sword, and he's got his pistol, and he's got his shoulder pad thingies and elbow pads and big gauntlet gloves or whatever. It's the look was made to be like, whoa, take you back. So I guess that's my initial thoughts. Not so much that I thought the stories were just like outstanding or anything, but
No.
that I could recognize why it was appealing back then.
So my initial thoughts are this just feels like one of those really, really generic mercenary characters that we got all through comics during this time period. Really, the only thing that was of interest was the concept of Cynosure, this multi-dimensional city where different, and like people's, somebody who was a god in one dimension was just a normal guy in, another dimension. That was kind of interesting. You mentioned the Tim Truman art. And I just have memories of people going on and on about Tim Truman and being a highly regarded independent artist. And as I'm flipping through this, it's not that it's bad, but man, it just like it felt really inconsistent. It's just like it was not particularly appealing. It's like if I was buying a new book right now and it was this art quality, I wouldn't be sticking with it for the art, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So that was really kind of a disappointment for me. I was expecting a little bit higher quality art just because of the reputation that Tim Truman has. And I think probably as he went along, his art hopefully got better. But I was not overly impressed with it, here in these first several issues that were technically Star Slayer issues.
I think it got better. I mean, I would assume so because by the time he did the Hawkworld Prestige little 3-issue that he wrote and drew, it was, I think that's where he may have really gotten his name. Now the Hawkworld ongoing was written by Ostrander and had other artists. It was nowhere near as good. In fact, it was really kind of bad. But the Hawkworld mini, I think, was well done, and I think both and Ostrander's, from what my memory tells me that the Suicide Squad was done well enough by him that really made him above average of a writer of comics. So yeah, I think this being just in the early '80s, just they hadn't really gotten their stride yet.
Yeah, I it'd be pretty early in their careers, So I don't know when Ostrander's first work was or when Truman's first work was. So
I read it somewhere, but I don't remember. I didn't write it down.
So what do you feel like we get with Grimjack's origin in these first 5 issues? Now, I don't think we really can talk a whole lot about anything that's changed or retconned because I don't think either of us are a regular Grimjack reader. But what do you feel like we know about his origin from just these first 5 appearances?
You basically don't. I mean, he's just there and he's doing his thing because that's what you're told. I don't know this firsthand, but apparently he had his origin told in full in Grimjack issues 66 through 69.
Oh, okay.
So I guess if anyone wanted to find those issues, you'd actually get the full. That's where you'd find out how he was a former this and a former that, soldier, policeman, spy, private investigator. Yeah,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just like he's a mercenary. He'll hunt whatever. I mean, we've got him hunting gods and vampires, and yeah, it's like just like your regular run-of-the-mill, type of things. Nothing, and that he operates out of, like we've said multiple times, operates out of Munden's bar. That's in Cynosure. That's basically all we really know about him. He keeps his weapons stored behind the bar at Munden's bar.
Yeah.
So switches to the garlic powder when he goes up against the vampire.
Right. Yeah.
All right, well, power set. I mean, not really much to speak of, other than maybe experience,
Yeah, he's like got whatever you want. You can
because he's a mercenary, private investigator, spy. He's got lots
soldier.
of
Yes,
experiences.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. He's got. Yeah, he's got. I mean, he's got to be. If he's going to do that job, he's got to have some combat skills. He's got to be able to handle his weapons. And speaking of weapons, he does. I do have names for his weapons. I don't know if they're named in these first five, but I can tell you that the sword is his wolf pack. That sounds familiar. I think it was in the first five stories, or maybe later in
Okay.
the trade. That's this specialized gladiator sword. It's his Elah assault pistol, um, which is just like a military grade firearm. And then whatever, I don't know what this is. I know it wasn't really featured in these first stories. It's called the Clarion Tachyon transmitter. Now, tachyons are usually
Like,
tachyons are a theoretical particle that move.
you're going Star Trek on us there,
They,
Mike.
that's because I listen to a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson Star Talk. But yeah, so tachyons go faster than the speed of light, which means they can go backwards in time. So I'm assuming that tachyon transmitter can throw someone backwards in time. Now, we'll have to research that and come back to it later and see if that's true.
I'll leave that to you, because as we're going to talk about later, I'll leave that research up to you.
Okay,
So.
got you. I probably
Yeah,
will.
I just had no real powers to speak of, at
Yeah.
least in these issues. So it's basically just he's proficient with lots of weapons.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of all the power set. Now, and I think we've already covered this one. It's like, how closely does this version of the character match what we see in comics today? As far as I know, they're identical, other than we've got a little bit more fleshed out background. But
Yeah, I don't know if maybe maybe he's James Twilly, his alter ego, but it doesn't make any real difference because he looks the same. He's got the same everything.
yeah,
So my answer to that question was two words: no clue. You know.
no, yeah, me too. So, and all right, so this is probably potentially the most important question. Like, what are some moments in these first five appearances that you would like to call any special attention to?
I think that first issue where they're, it's
The cameo where he's just in the shadow. And
Oh no! I'm not even. No. Yeah, I have ordered that. Just it was pretty cheap. I decided to get it. But
Mike.
I know. I'm just I don't have any issues of warp. Might as well get issue 5. So I don't really have any particular moments that stand out. It's just that I really enjoyed the first storyline, the Mortal Gods. So I liked, that's where you're introduced to the bar. You're introduced to a lot of his different cohorts, like what's Blackjack Man or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there was
Blackjack.
yeah, Blackjack Man, and what was I can't remember the lady's name.
I can't remember. Some of the dialogue is so bad. It's so bad. I mean,
Well, and I don't think we actually are. We're not actually introduced to them in the story, are we? It's in that little prelude that they added. I don't think. I'm flipping.
oh, you know
through
what? That
right
is
now.
before the story about the Zagos. So yeah, I guess I can't
Yes.
count that.
No.
But still, I would say that Mortal Gods. I like the idea that you had this high priestess that was her god in her universe. This Zago or not? Was it Zago? Was he the good guy or the bad guy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, Zago was the other god.
Yeah.
So that was the god that she was warring against. I
Yeah.
guess.
So her god, but when he's in this universe, or maybe this universe's version of him, he's just old drunk that's at the bar.
Yeah.
And
Well, he just had wandered into her universe.
I guess he lost his
And
powers.
in her universe, he had godlike powers.
Oh, right, yeah,
When
that's
he
it,
comes
yes.
back to the
Yeah,
Cynosure, he's just a regular guy. So that's why the Zago, who's also a god in her universe, when he comes to the bar, he also loses his powers, which is why Grimjack is able to basically kill him. It took a little bit, but Grimjack takes him down. So
I can't. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, this priestess has that Tamaranian. If you want to think of Starfire, she's got this really golden skin, beautiful, whatever. So it makes for a good protagonist to go along with Grimjack. You know, I did enjoy this story, probably way better than the vampire story, which spanned
Oh yeah.
the next few issues after this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I can't get past singing Raspberry Beret whenever I see this though. So it's just again, it's just like being in the '80s. It's like going back to the '80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of surprised, by the vampire storyline. It's just like, again, I hadn't. These issues predate what is possibly my first exposure to Grimjack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something that I would have read, and it's not something that I remembered, even if I did or did not read Grimjack 4. So I was really kind of a little surprised. It's like, man, this just feels a little mundane, It's just like, oh, vampires, and he just happens to have all the weapons to fight vampires behind the bar at Munden's bar.
The garlic powder.
So he just swaps out, yeah, he just swaps everything out, and is able to, just move on to the next guy. So
yeah, I just
and it was Blackjack Mac.
Blackjack Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was some of the dialogue of him and his woman companion was sort of just again of its time. It's just.
But that was new material.
Oh, you're right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was new material because they added that little prelude in before.
I mean, they literally said business. They spelled it bidness.
Business, yes. Well, I guess they just wanted to lean into it.
Maybe,
it's like if it's a product of the 80s and 90s, then
how quaint.
We'll just be part of the 80s and 90s. So.
Oh boy.
So I don't know. Any other moments in the first 5 appearances that you want to call any special attention to?
No, I think it was pretty much very much a one beat type of stories, and it made it difficult for me to identify particularities of it that are worth mentioning. So, no.
Did you have I think you already said your favorite of the first 5 appearances.
Right, I guess, yeah. Well, I guess my real favorite's the prelude that wasn't even part of the first 5. But I guess the second favorite is the story about the gods that were no longer powered, that were no longer immortal or had powers.
Mortal Gods,
Mortal
the first
Gods.
story arc, which was what, 2 or 3?
2 issues, the first 2,
issues?
or 2 8-page stories together,
Yes, so not even a full comic.
No, really,
close to a
just
full
16
comics.
pages,
Yeah, if I had to pick, I definitely would have chosen Mortal Gods over the vampire story, that is for sure. I guess the only thing about the vampire story is you have the guy who's been turned into a vampire and he wants to live long enough for him to see that the vampire who turned him into a vampire is killed so that he can then, have Grimjack kill him so he doesn't,
Right. And you kind of seen that coming, though, that he really wasn't going to let him kill him in the end.
Yeah.
Psych.
But, yeah.
To reference an 80s saying, psych.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess you've already answered this question, Mike. Do you plan to seek out more stories with this character?
Probably not. There's not many to see.
Well, you've already ordered Warp Graphics number 5.
Well, that precedes. So that's more of just of a collector's itch that I had to scratch. But no, nothing to read. I'm not gonna go looking for. Although, before we go on to our next segment, I do want to mention not all of them, because some of them I didn't recognize. I'm gonna mention these crossovers or guest appearances from other companies, whether it be in a Grimjack story or Grimjack in their stories, just for the novelty of it. So you got Dreadstar, he appeared in First Comics with Grimjack in some book called Crossroads. You got in the Marvel Universe, you had Grimjack, Wolverine, Elektra, Phoenix, and other Marvel characters make cameo appearances in Munden's Bar Strip and Grimjack 27, and then Grimjack made the later appearance in New Mutants number 50 using the alias Haggard. So I've got that one I bought from you because you were so nice to have known I like these kind of crossovers.
I think I gave you that one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you gave. Yeah, okay, you gave it to me. Yeah, because it probably isn't worth anything either. So
not really worth anything anyway, but that's okay.
Yeah, I was glad to get it because if it's worth me getting my little labeler out and nerd out by putting unofficial crossover, Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, well, good. So,
Then Nexus, Grimjack meets Nexus in Crossroads number 5.
okay.
Badger, Mike,
I remember those Crossroads stories
do you?
because they were square bound, and it was like, yeah, it was like all the first comic characters were having these crossovers, so they were just linking up all the first comics. 'Cause Nexus was first, and Grimjack was
Oh,
first, and I guess Dreadstar was first at one point. Red Star's been all over the place. That's Jim Starlin, if I remember
yeah.
correctly, and he like had him at Marvel, part of Epic, and then doing his own thing, and back and forth, and all over the place. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can see like some more of those Crossroads books in my brain, and I just can't come up with any names other than the ones we've
I
already
don't think I
said,
even
so.
knew about that.
Oh yeah, they were square bound prestige type,
Wow.
books whenever they came out. So, yeah.
And then you even had DC Universe characters. You had Deadman and Phantom Stranger making cameo appearances in Munden's Bar in Grimjack 27. Batman and Catwoman in Grimjack 35. Now I kind of do want to get these
Well,
random
yeah.
off off numbered whatever. E-Man, which E-Man was, I don't think
Oh
that
wow.
was that a first comics character?
I think it was Charlton.
Charlton. Yeah.
Because he had the modern reprints. A lot of the Charlton books had the modern
There you go.
reprints.
Yeah.
So I think E-Man was Charlton.
Yeah. He made an appearance. Ms. Tree.
Okay, that was a Terry Beatty creation.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Yeah, Terry Beatty.
Space Ghost.
Okay. Wow.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Usagi
Okay.
Ojimbo. And
Okay.
finally, Omaha the Cat Dancer.
Oh, ooh, that will be a mature one if
I
you
would
decide to
think
add that
so,
to your
yeah.
collection. Just as an FYI, so you're gonna have the same problem I have with some of my volleyball comic books. It's like,
You're right.
like one of the comics there's a volleyball cover for is Penthouse Comics #2. It's like,
You, bet,
I am not sure if I'm adding
You
that
better-
one to my
you
collection.
better hide
I'll
that
have
in
black
between
bag
a
back or
safe, yeah.
something. Yeah, I'm not for sure if I'm putting that one in the collection or not. So.
oh, boy.
Yeah, I've got that question. So I've already picked up a few that it's like, did I really want this? Okay, I'll get it because it was cheap, but I don't know.
Oh, man. But yeah, that's it for me on
Okay. Well, I
Grimjack.
do not plan to pick up any additional Grimjack at the current time. I might have to hear something, crazy going on. However, I do have one issue of Grimjack in my personal collection, and that is issue number 32.
Okay.
And the reason why I have issue number 32 in my collection is because there's a backup story called Bad Sports that takes place at Munden's Bar. And in Munden's Bar, somebody says, volleyball, anyone? So you have several, I don't know, maybe about 6 story pages of people at Munden's Bar playing volleyball.
How did you
and the
find
game,
that? How do you?
It was a freak thing. Actually, I think this one I have Michael Cathro to thank for.
Okay.
Because he reminded me that I could go to comics.org and just search for volleyball.
Oh, do a keyword search.
and,
Yeah.
And do a keyword search, and it would show up. Some books would show up. There's some that don't show up that I have in my collection already. But this one, I don't know, because I'm not sure how it showed up because it's the name of the issue isn't volleyball. So
I need to do
they just
that.
had volleyball story.
I need to do that with my Gulliver's Travels, where he's the Lilliputians
Yeah.
tying attacking someone, because I was able to find a couple recent ones, a Jimmy Olsen and a Blackhawk, but I've never gone to comics.org to search.
Yeah, and then the game ends when much like his first cameo appearance in
as a silhouette.
Warp Graphics number 5, there's a silhouette of Grimjack with a smoking gun,
Yeah.
and somebody has shot the volleyball out of the air. So that thus ends the volleyball match. So that's a Grimjack issue number 32. What's bad is I discovered this book and went online and bought a copy, and then I was going through some of my cheapy stuff that is like I just either give away or sell super cheap, and I found another copy. So I actually have 2 copies of that
I'll be darned.
because I well, I bought it twice, but I bought it more than twice because I've also had complete runs of Grimjack and sold those. So.
Oh man.
But yeah, other than that, I won't be actively seeking out any additional Grimjack. So.
It's fun to talk about, but it's not something that you're like, oh my gosh, I got to go read this character. It's
and it makes me think like, I mean, we list off a whole bunch of characters that we could do like first fives of, like Nexus and Dreadstar and all those, and it's just like I've read some Dreadstar for sure. I could not get into it.
I've got the first 5 appearances of Dreadstar actually because I take it back. I have the first appearance in Epic or whatever. It's Nexus that I have the first 5 because I bought that entire run from you.
Yeah, you got the entire run from me, so you can see how much I, valued those Nexus. But Dreadstar actually didn't first appear in Epic. He was, oh gosh, there was a magazine.
Yeah, it's a magazine size. I just said Epic.
Well, no, it's not Epic Illustrated.
No,
not Epic Illustrated.
But
I'm gonna look it up here real fast while you keep talking.
I'm just gonna whistle. Jeopardy tune.
Well, maybe it is. Okay, no, you're right. I was thinking it wasn't Epic, but it was Epic.
Rewind that.
That was his first appearance.
Okay, folks, can you replay that? Just rewind your podcast player.
Oh, here. I'll just say, you don't have to rewind. I'll say it again. Mike, you were correct. It was Epic Illustrated that had the introduction of Vanth Dreadstar. For some reason, I was thinking it was something else besides Epic. So.
Huh. Well, yeah.
So, yes, Mike, you were correct.
Well, even a blind squirrel. But I remember, I think I remember things that turns out that aren't even close to being accurate, but I just roll with it. But I do have that first appearance. I have the Nexus. But yeah, sometimes I do get a sort of, because it's like, oh, that'd be cool. It's not that expensive. I wouldn't mind having the first few appearances of an oddball character. But the Dreadstar character always, to me, I felt like the art always was, it was the Starlin art that was more appealing than his writing. And I can't attribute it to anything more than that.
All right. Well, you have any final thoughts on Dreadstar? Grimjack. See, I've already forgotten who we're talking about.
Grimstar, Dreadjack.
Yeah, Grimstar. Yeah.
No, not really. I think it's a uniquely designed character and in a not so unique MO. So I'm not kicking myself for having read these, but I won't go looking for any more.
Fortunately, it wasn't a huge investment, and now I can say I've read some, and it's not for me.
And actually, I forgot to mention this. We talked about it earlier, but this hardcover I got from online from Lone Star Comics, whatever, had this print, this little like postcard-sized print of Grimjack, signed by both Truman and Ostrander. It's like number 89 of 1,000. So
woohoo.
I don't know if that I'm sure it doesn't add really any value, or I wouldn't have got it for the $10 that I got it for. So.
All right. Well, you ready to talk about the future is?
I think that's in our future.
Okay. So I guess the first thing we need to address is the title, which is the future is followed by 6 asterisks.
Yes.
And the 6 asterisks does not represent a profanity.
And that's exactly what I thought. It was the right number of asterisks to spell a certain word that might fit.
To spell a certain word that you, a 4-letter word that you might add ed to.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. So let's go ahead and I'm going to explain that out of the get-go.
Okay.
All right, about the future is. So in addition to this being a comic book, the future is from Rekka Publishing, which is Rekka is hacker spelled backwards. All right, so this is part of a information security company called Black Hills Information Security. And their primary job is that they do pen testing and security testing for various businesses across the world. I mean, I listened to one of their podcasts, and which is like talking about InfoSec or something like that, and they'll like be recording like we do through Zoom or whatever, and they'll be in Germany or in an undisclosed location because they've signed an NDA and they can't actually say where they are at as they are recording that particular episode. So, but they, at least a certain percentage of the people who work there have some affinity for comic books. So what they have done is they have created this book, The Future Is, and brought in some pretty solid talent, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But they also include these little challenges, which they refer to as capture the flag. So you'll see CTF challenge, and the idea is that at cybersecurity events where they have a lot of security experts come in, sometimes they'll have these events called capture the flags. And what you do is you are trying to decode something, quote unquote, break into a website to find something called a key. And a key is just a string of characters that you can then go into the capture the flag scoreboard. And if you find the key, which again is just a string of characters, and paste that into the scoreboard, if you found what they were looking for, then you get points for having completed or captured that flag. So, not to be confused with like playing a capture the flag game in a first-person shooter,
right,
where you're going and literally getting a flag.
Right.
So you are getting the flag, but you don't have to like bring it back. Once you find the flag, you just upload the information.
Gotcha.
You get the points, and then they keep this running scoreboard of what's going on. So, like here on this very first issue, the original graphic novel, what you do is if you, I don't want to give too much of this away, but we're past kind of the unofficial NDA where you're not supposed to talk about it. If you look in the lower right-hand corner of the cover, there are some characters there.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is that is a code that you actually have to try to decode, and it takes you to a web page where there is a challenge that you can then complete the challenge. So this, to me, is why I am enjoying these books so much.
Hey, before you go into that, so you basically have to have some beyond IT knowledge. You have to have like an understanding of cryptonology or cryptography.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yes. Now you can complete some of these challenges with the help of like AI, and to be totally honest, there are some of the challenges that I have completed because with AI's help.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's not I do not I have not completed all the challenges. There are lots of people. There's like this scoreboard and Discord channel where people get in and ask for hints and help. And I have completed. I'm in the group of people. There's almost 700 people that have at least some point participated in these challenge, and I'm reasonably high up in the challenge rank. Now, I'm not saying that because I think I'm some great security guy. I think I'm just in that, you get a Venn diagram and you got people who like cybersecurity and people who like comic books, and there's that crossover. So in the group that is participating in that, that kind of has both of those crossovers, I at least have a little bit of, I'm doing okay, right? So, but the idea is here, all of these books, what those 6 asterisks represent is a cover challenge. And you get from some information either from the cover or from the inside of the front cover that gives you a hint where you try to crack what the 6-letter word for that issue is.
Oh.
And then you go to the site, and almost all of the URLs are tficomic.io/something. So that's what took me forever, because like most of the time, like I ignored that little yellow characters there,
mm-hmm.
because for the longest, we've seen a lot of comic covers, right?
Yeah.
And you'll have like all the creators' names, sometimes down at the bottom, or around the the publisher box or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally just kind of ignored that. But then I realized, wait, there's that text is there, but they listed all the creators up here at the top. So why would they list them twice?
Right.
So then I had to figure out, that's laid out just like a URL, because it's got the something dot something slash.
Yeah.
To then realize,
oh no, it's an URL, not a URL.
It's a URL, Mike. So anyway, that's so the whole point. It's the book is the future is, and then the asterisks represent a challenge where you have to try to decrypt or decode whatever the word is for that particular.
I guarantee 85% or more of the readers, or anyone that's seen these covers, doesn't know what you just said, and you're definitely giving people some valuable information if they want to go. Oh, I didn't know this.
If they want to do it,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So,
That's cool.
but and there's usually 3 to 5 challenges in each issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now they, for the most part, they lay them out pretty clearly. But I'm gonna point out one thing.
And they got little
here
CTF. I mean, it's like
yeah.
got little
So what they
indicators,
have is you'll kind of like what used to be like the editor's notes.
Yeah.
You know, you would go to a particular page and there would be like a box for like an editor's note. And like I'm in the first issue here, and I'm going to like, I don't know, it's about page 5, and you've got this little box down here at the bottom that says tficomic.io/gun. So you go in your URL, open up your web browser, that URL, and it gives you a little page. And this one you have to basically hack into, like in the comic story, there's a gun that they hack into.
Right.
So you kind of, quote unquote, repeat that process of how they hacked into the gun, so that you can see what they did to, cause the gun to overload here in that particular story arc.
So
But,
you actually use code to try to.
So some of these involve, I mean, it's like I said, it's a wide range, which is why anybody who has completed all of these has my utmost respect.
Yeah.
Because I teach cybersecurity at a community college. Mm-hmm. So what that means is that I'm teaching entry-level stuff, to students who have little to no experience inside of cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. So I'm teaching very, very fundamental levels of cybersecurity. So I am far from an expert in cybersecurity. I have a real solid understanding. Mm-hmm. But so like you have to, I mean, there are things that you need to know Python, which is a programming language for. It helps if you know like PowerShell or grep, which is a way to capture data or search through information. And among doing other things, you got to know a little bit about, HTML, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's just you got to. The thing I'm actually having some most trouble with is some of the crypto challenges, the cryptography challenges, where you're just encoding and decoding. It's not that I don't recognize that this is encoded. It's like I don't know what to do to decode them. So like hints, sometimes it's there's something called a pigeon cipher or a pigeon cipher, a pigpen cipher. I can't remember the exact name. See, I'm not, I don't have these things memorized. Well, one of them is that type of a cipher. So once you figure that out, you can kind of just go through and match up the characters, and voila, you can decode it. So it's I just have such a good time, and some of them I get instantaneously. It's like there was one issue, there were 3 challenges in it, and I think I had them all in like 10 minutes. I was like, whoa, I was feeling pretty good about myself. And then the next issue, there was again 3 challenges, and I got one of them, and I spent probably several hours trying to figure out the other 2. And it's just like I was just banging my head against the wall. It's like, okay, I got to walk away from this.
Well, if it's
so
literally the only programming language I've ever used is Visual Basic, and I thought I was doing something in Microsoft Access. Man, I was on top of the world. Yeah, so that's as far as I ever got.
So I guess that's why I'm so into this book. We're kind of jumping ahead just a little bit, just because of the fact I get it's written and edited by people who have an understanding of cybersecurity, so it feels very authentic.
That's a good word.
There was a TV show called Mr. Robot that was on for like 3 seasons on, I want to say on USA.
Yeah.
It also had a real strong cybersecurity element to it. It felt very authentic. So I like that this book feels extremely authentic. And then there are just lots of little things, and we talked about this in some of our previews episodes. I'm glad that I noticed this book whenever it first came out. I missed the Kickstarter, so I had to go in and buy the Kickstarter version of issue 1 off of eBay because I missed that. But I did get into the second Kickstarter, so I'm pretty happy about that. But like there are just like little things in previews. Well, the price of the first issue was $13.37 because it's an oversized issue.
Right.
All right. Well,
it was 100 pages, right?
What's that? Yeah, it's got a lot of extra pages. It's square bound. It's But if you know what's called Leet Speak, 1337 is how you spell elite in Leet Speak. So thus that's the price. And we talked about this. The regular price of the subsequent issues is $4.04. Well, so 404 is the error you get when a page isn't found when you're browsing on a website.
Yeah.
So there's just all these little tiny things that you can appreciate if you understand the IT side of it. It is just it's just so much fun for
And at the same,
somebody like me.
yeah, I think it's very much geared to someone like you, but it's also accessible to other people. So there's no. I think it's important that people know that you shouldn't be scared away by it.
No.
There's a lot of this stuff that goes over my head, a lot. But the storytelling is good enough, not to spoil what our thoughts are, but the storytelling is good enough that you can still enjoy it, especially if you do a reread. And I found that rereading this helped out a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of the storytelling, so when they put this together, they got Fred Van Lente to do the writing duties, and they are promoting this as this is going to be a 60-issue story. So now it's going to end up being, if that completes, it's going to end up being more than 60 issues because they have also added some issues like this issue, which is called, The Future Is the Wild West Hacking Fest Annual 2025. So this is another issue that
it's like a spinoff
that also has challenges,
or special
different artists than the regular artists, but it has additional challenges and a code on the front that I still haven't figured out yet. So I gotta keep working on that one, but because I just don't know what encoding scheme that they use for me to go in and decode it. So. And some of these things are they're double encoded, and that's the people who are figuring these out. It's they're just blowing me away, And now and there's a Discord channel where I could go and just ask, hey, what do I do to solve this? And somebody would tell me.
Yeah.
I haven't done that.
You haven't got to that point where you need to.
I haven't got to that point where I've given up on it enough.
Yeah, to go get the cheat codes.
I've looked for some hints, but I don't want to just get the answer. I want to get hints, so that way, if there's another challenge like it in the subsequent issue, I won't have to ask. I'll know what to do next time. Yep. So, but now the art duties on these first 7 issues, and what we're going to talk about is what's included in their first, the first graphic novel that they had, or the first trade, I guess is actually what I should say, which includes issues 1 through 7. Now, they released this as a smaller sized book, which you have a copy of, right, Mike?
Yes. Yeah. I got the basically compact size, I guess. It's thick. And
it's a little bit bigger than a manga, but not a lot bigger than a manga would be.
I have to say, if anyone decides to buy it, I'd get the full trade, the full size, because there are dialogue. First of all, the paper is it's that newsprint, and it very it's dull. It makes
they wanted to keep the costs down on that. How much did that cost you?
I don't know. I
want to say it was less than $15.
I don't even see a price on here. It probably was pretty cheap, yeah.
So that's part of the reason why is to keep the costs down.
Yeah.
So.
But I could deal with that much. But the way it's bound, it was this thick that the dialogue boxes that were near the spine,
really?
I had a hard time, especially the dialogue that's done, the sprite or computer dialogue or whatever is in pink. I just couldn't really make it out unless I'm squeezing both sides of the book down. Man! But
I didn't. I had the original issue, so fortunately for me, I didn't have that problem because I had the single issues.
Yeah,
so.
That's it. Yeah, that's really the only negative I have about the whole thing. But
they kind of introduced that because that finishes that gives you the Kickstarter story, which was issue 1. Mm-hmm. And then it gives you what I'm going to refer to as we go through these issues, the getting the gang together issues, and then their first real story arc. So it's you have the first heist or the first, their first job together, which is at some point in the future. Then they go back to where they bring the team together and then show their first heist, and now we're kind of moving forward in time.
Yes.
So, now there are a lot of characters that you kind of want to get to know a little bit, and I'm not as has been the case. I can obviously talk about this book for a long time, so I got to be careful. And Mike, you may at some point just have to say, Scott, we need to wrap this up. All right. So I actually, my notes on each issue, I have deliberately kept them kind of brief, but I do think it's kind of important to kind of, cover some of the characters.
Sure.
So, and we do this occasionally. So the main character, or who I consider the main character of the book, is a guy named Wheeler. So Wheeler, he's the guy who has the pinkish shades, visor that he wears all the time. And he is leader of the group, which is referred to as the Black Mountain or the Black Mountain Collective.
Which is sort of a play on the Black Hills Company.
Black Hills Company, and another group called Iron Mountain, which they do like some security things. So I think it's kind of like a double thing there. But they are described as a group of freeloaders or hackers who are not tied to any big business, government, criminal organizations. So they're independent group.
So what is the distinction between a freebooter and a hacker? Or is there?
For me, I'm not for sure. I think that might just be more of a futuristic term.
Oh, I see.
So, like, in modern vernacular, we don't even call them hackers. They're referred to as threat actors.
Oh.
Okay? Because hacker it's kind of like, how language changes? Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah, evolves.
So hopefully this won't get us demonetized. But initially, hackers were kind of defined as people who wanted to know how things worked. So it's like they're the type of person that would take apart their toaster to figure out how a toaster works.
Right.
And that included, taking apart your computer, how that works. Taking apart phone systems, learn how the phone system works. Okay. Mm-hmm. So at that point, it's sort of, so initially, the people who did those things for malicious reasons were not referred to as hackers. They referred to as crackers. Now, crackers in the modern vernacular has a different meaning.
Right, more derogatory,
So, but now, and then there's like a lot of terminologies, like we used to call, if you wanted to, like on web pages that you wanted to block people from accessing, you would blacklist those. Mm-hmm. And pages that you wanted to be for sure that people could access, you would whitelist those. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we have allow lists and deny lists. So instead of having hackers, we have threat actors. So it's really just it kind of basically means the same thing.
Gotcha.
So I guess to get around to answering your question.
Okay.
So Wheeler is the one that is kind of in charge, and he is the one that brings the team together. So we were introduced to the entire team there in the first issue. So you have Martina, who is introduced as being Meatworks, and what that means is
his thug.
She's the one who actually does like the on-site pen testing. She's the one that typically is the one who's responsible for going in. So if they're not doing something remote, which obviously in these stories they're all going in, but she's kind of like the upfront, the one that people are typically making contact with. She's also will learn in her story arc that she's pretty much an Olympic level athlete. Okay. Then you have Sally. Sally is basically responsible for their custom hardware. Okay, and prefers to be in space than to be in Earth's gravity. Then you have Arf/Art. So now I really should have. I didn't get around, and I really wanted to read these maybe a third time before, just because my memory's not the greatest sometime. But Arf is basically a dog, all right, that is primarily there to give Art, who is their artificial intelligence, a place to interact with them when they're physically out and about. So then there are some humorous things that happen when Arf runs off. And
so when they say AR, that's their augmented reality. Right.
But it's a combination of either augmented reality and or just Art is just short for artificial intelligence.
Gotcha.
I think.
Okay.
So that's why he's referred to as Art. All right, then you have Eli, and Eli is the one who is capable of discovering vulnerabilities in systems. Okay, so he's I don't know, maybe the truest pen tester, but he's also an extreme introvert, and you would definitely say that he is on the spectrum in modern vernacular. And then you have the opposition group, which is referred to as Doom Scroll, and it's basically this collective organization that Wheeler is specifically bringing this group together to kind of work against.
And in the story, they refer to Doom Scroll as sort of being an archaic or an old-timey hacker group or whatever. But is Doom Scroll something, a real thing nowadays? Is there such a
Yes.
thing as
Okay. So what we refer doom scrolling is when you get on TikTok,
Right.
Instagram, Facebook, and you start swiping up.
And you just can't stop.
You're just going through, and you think you're done, and you swipe up just enough that the next thing catches your interest. So you keep going, and before you know it, you're 20 minutes, 2 hours. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, and you're still on your phone. So that's what we refer to as doom scrolling.
Right.
At least that's what I refer to as doom
But
scrolling.
I was wondering if there was an actual group nowadays, because this is set in the future, and they're referring to this being an old-timey organization. I thought maybe.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Now, there are obviously, threat actor hacker groups out there. I think they probably chose doom scroll to not choose a name of something
Sure.
that is a. But I don't know for sure.
Right.
I'm not aware of an actual group. And what's kind of funny is one of the challenges later on in one of the issues is you'd have to download this little game and figure out how to find the key inside of this game. And the name of the game is Doom Scroll. But that's not important for now. So all right. So issue 1, all right, is really kind of just there to introduce you to the characters. All right, give you some concept of what the characters are like, and really just kind of put you straight into the story. To me, it's kind of like that the James Bond opening action sequence.
Yes.
Where it's like you don't want to slow start to a Bond film, right? You want to dive right into something.
Yep.
So this is there. Let's just dive right in. So basically, what it boils down to is Wheeler and the team. They are infiltrating this moon base because they believe that people are being killed and or caused to go missing and abused by the wealthy elite that are bringing a servant class up to the moon to serve their needs. So that's what they are there investigating. And of course, the entire team goes because we gotta meet the entire team. So even though again, Martina, is the Meatworks person. I think I might have said no. Okay, I said
you said Martina.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, is the kind of the Meatworks person. They're all actually physically involved in this first story, so they're able to prove to some people that hey, what's going on up here is wrong, and I just thought it was a really, really well done story. I unfortunately missed that Kickstarter, but I was able to get it with that first $13.37 issue. Then later on I went and got the trade off of eBay since I missed out on it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a really, really great story, and you get introduced to the CTFs and all of that stuff right away. And I do want to read one thing out of the first issue, okay? And I'm not going to be reading where you think I'm going to be reading from, where you probably don't even know. But I know a lot of times I'm sure, Mike, every single comic that you get, you read the indicia of the issue.
I do. I mean, not every. I actually do. I do look at the indicia. I mean, especially if I want to see if it's an older book. I want to see, the
When it
year.
came out.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What issue number? If you can't find it on the cover and stuff like that.
Right.
So So going through this, if you read on down, the future is blah 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 blah. But then it said, that later on they kind of say, would it make a difference if we told you that there won't be a CTF in the indicia? Is one of the things that gets included here inside the indicia. All right, now I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit, and let's see. What issue is this? This is issue 8 of the story, and that basically says that for several issues. And here in issue 8, it says, so it goes all the regular copyright information, Black Hills Information Security, blah blah blah. We're still considering a CTF here. Give us an issue or two. So maybe at some point. So if you are somebody who has been reading these and you're looking, there might be a CTF at some point inside the indicia. But spoiler, for the first 8 issues, there is not that I caught. There's not a CTF inside the indicia. So, but that's like that first issue. that's how much I went through that trying to find all these little capture the flags. It's like, where would they stick one that not everybody would think to look? And it's like, that was the first place that I went to.
Yeah.
So it's like,
This being a 100-page first issue, I'm reading this collection in this book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, when is the next chapter going to be? Yeah, you don't see chapter 2 until 100 pages in. Didn't expect that.
No. So, one, and again, I think I'm talking more about just things that are asides to the story. They sold enough of the first issue that they had to do a reprint. Okay.
Nice.
And the reprint, though, was supposed to also be priced $13.37, but they made a mistake on the cover. And it came out with the $4.04 price. So it's really kind of referred to as the 404 error printing. All right, as opposed to the second print. So
did they have to sell it at 404 then?
I don't think they had to sell it, but they chose to go ahead and sell it.
Yeah.
Okay, and since you brought that up, it's like there's the two versions,
yeah.
The 404 and the 1337.
Okay.
You got the elite and the 404 error. One of the things that they're doing, and again, this is something that I've mentioned in some of our previews episodes, is that if you are a shop, they are selling to shops. You can get 10 copies of the book for $10. And I don't know if that's including or after the discount that you get from Lunar or wherever you are purchasing them from. So they are making this book very affordable for shops, because if they're selling them for 404 and they're only paying $1 for them, as long as they're picking up 10 copies, you sell 3 of the 10, you at least break even on it. And then now everything after those first 3 sales is profit for you. So I've even debated, I don't have a shop, but I've debated picking up the 10 issues and just having them to take to shows with me.
Yeah.
And at some point I might do that. If I was going to do it, I should have started with issue 8, since that's where it's like the end of the first part. People could have got the thing. And I don't know if I get a chance, maybe I can go back and pick up multiples of issue 8 and just start, doing that moving forward. But yeah, so anyway, one of the things I really appreciate about what Black Hills and Rekka is doing is they are giving a lot of attention and focus to comic shops. And like each month, after the issue comes out, they put out a PDF. They make it available on their site in the Discord that says, hey, these are the locations that ordered copies of, issue number 9. So if you're looking for an issue, these are the places to go to. So,
yeah.
All right. So you got anything else for issue 1 you want to talk about? Or?
I only want to say, okay, so I liked I like this getting thrown into the deep end. I like how Van Lente did that. I felt like I wasn't like confused. I kind of understood. They do give you a 1-page like explanation of who people are, the main protagonists. So I really liked it. I also liked all the covers, especially this first cover, which is featured on this collection I have, is the Jay Lee cover. So all the covers were pretty darn good, but this one was one of my favorite.
Yeah. So they actually started with issue 8 because they had primarily been bringing in guest artists to do the covers, and they were liking the art from. And I forgot to mention that. So you have 2 artists in these first 7 issues. Enio Buffy and Mario de Alessandro.
Yeah, I know de Alessandro, but I don't know the one that did most of the art.
Yeah, like the first issue, and his did the majority of them. I'm not familiar with, really particularly familiar with either of their works outside, but the covers for the first 7 issues were generally guest artists on the cover.
Yes.
I'm looking at issue 2 and see, it's like the cover for issue 2 was Andrea Maloney.
Okay.
All right, which is the Martina issue. Okay.
Right.
They decided with issue 8 that they liked the work that their interior artists were doing, that now they're doing 2 covers per issue. So they have the guest artist and then the regular artist doing a cover.
Yeah, I like the regular artists. Yeah, art. I really do. I like
But they've had Jay Lee, Mike Allred,
Rob Guillory from Farmhand.
So they've had some great cover artists on these books.
Yeah.
So
I didn't recognize all of them. But the ones I did,
I recognize several. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Anything else on issue 1?
No.
Okay. So really, issues 2, 3, 4, and 5 are basically the same story. It's how, because we go back in time now, right? So this is the get the band together issues. So issue 2,
which is always one of my favorite things, is getting the group together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, getting the group together. And sometimes it's like, why are all the superhero movies the first one always the origin story?
Yeah.
It's because that's what most people want to see.
Yeah.
The origin story is really what defines it. So we're getting the origin story, for the group. So issue 2 is where we bring in Martina, and we find that that's where we learn Martina is like this Olympic level athlete. I think she had an injury or something.
Yeah.
Or that basically prevented her from actually competing. But she was in we'll just say an unhealthy marriage. So Wheeler is able to get her out of this unhealthy marriage, and then finally, convinces her to join the team. And I think this is also where we first see Doomscroll at the very end of issue 2. I don't remember. I should have flipped through issue 1 a little bit more, but we see kind of like the 3 primary members of Doomscroll here at the end of issue 2.
Yeah, she was like her husband had some kind of special program he invented that replaced physical prisons, which I have an interest in, and basically makes convicted felons a prisoner in their own mind, thereby saving lots of money. But what he did was, to keep his wife from leaving him, and she had lots of reasons to leave him, he had her in that same kind of prison setting, which is what Wheeler helped break her out of. And I really enjoyed this issue.
And the Lego.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, she's this part of the thing that they're doing for her to escape is that she has like a certain amount of time. Okay, so she was this Olympic level runner, so she has a certain amount of time to get from point A to point B, and she doesn't make it because she steps on a Lego.
Yes. That is like an iconic, yeah.
But so for the Doomscroll group, again, it's primarily 3 members. So you have they're all wearing like these masks. So one of them is wearing kind of like the Illuminati,
with the
pyramid
with an eyeball,
right? And then you have like the I don't know, the Middle Ages, what was like the doctor thing, almost like a raven's beak.
Raven's beak with a hat.
There's a name for that. Yeah, there's a name for that mask. You see it in like a BioShock as well. Why can't I remember?
I can't remember.
And then anyway, you have the classic, demon head, where it's like the I don't want to say goat, but it's got the horns and are the 3 members of this Doomscroll group. So,
so it's is it called a miasma?
Maybe.
Oh no, it
maybe
filters.
That's why I don't remember.
No, it's a plague doctor mask.
Yeah,
and they wore it because they thought it filtered out the bad air of those with like the Black Death. They thought it protected them from the Black Death. Yeah, it's kind of a gothic steampunk type thing. Yeah,
It's used a lot in other things. You see it, because it's somewhat recognizable.
Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, that's real short. Again, it's just getting Martina in. You kind of learn her background and how Wheeler, helps, and then ends up getting them. Starts getting the group together.
The third one, did you mention the mask he wears is he or she? I don't know which. He's got like a bull skull over his.
Yeah, with the horns Yeah, that's actually the word I was looking for, and I kept thinking goat for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Some reason or another, right? Now, issue 3 is about Eli. Eli is the vulnerability expert, and he is the one. He basically, again, he would be described now as being on the spectrum, and he kind of lives in his own little world where he's not. He's basically concerned about vulnerability, so he doesn't want himself to be vulnerable. And he basically lives with his mother, okay? And he has basically, these characters that are, that is what he, sees the world as. Like when he's talking to his mother, he doesn't see his mother. He sees the mayor of the town.
Of the little bubble town, yeah.
Yeah, so he's kind of in his own little world. But in the end, in the attempt, so there somebody else is trying to basically take Eli. Wheeler is there to try to rescue him, and unfortunately, what happens for Eli is that his mother ends up dying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because again, Eli being on the spectrum and being ultimately concerned with vulnerabilities, what Eli recognizes is that his mother had one vulnerability, and it was him, and now that vulnerability has been removed.
Yes.
So he then joins the team. So, not again. It's there's a process and all these things happen, and we see Martina doing the meat work as she's doing like the paraglide suit to get into the building and all that stuff like you see in typical infiltration espionage stories.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got anything you want to add for issue 3?
It says somewhere in here it translates that environment that he is that VR environment that he's in that he kind of secludes himself from the world. There's a name. It's like a lot of the words are either Danish or Swedish or something, but I can't find now what it means. It's Sakerhetsbubbla, and it's something about a bubble. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so that's how he basically protects himself.
Yeah.
So.
No, I enjoyed this one too. It was a little bit more. I was like, "What the heck's going on?" But the second read made it a lot easier.
Okay, so we probably should have read the premise of this story. So each of each of these issues has this little intro. So it's like the hacker wars are over. The Black Hats won. You no longer have rights, only terms of service.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot escape tech. It is everywhere. Everywhere you are, thanks to the augmented reality AR rigs implanted in your skull, pixelating the line between internet and reality. Most people use sprites, often animal avatars, to interact directly with the virtual world. Your life has been programmed by those who know the code, but you are not alone. The mysterious Wheeler leads the vigilante Black Mountain collective of freebooters. I think I said freeloaders earlier.
You did, yeah.
Whoops, sorry. Hackers unaffiliated with any big biz or criminal organization, masterless cyber samurai, bound only by their moral code to fight from the shadows to save those about to be lost to this inhuman system. Remember, this present may seem grim, but the future is not certain. The future is hope. So,
yep.
And then issue 4 goes into Sally. So Sally,
she might be my favorite.
Yeah, Sally has left the building, so to speak. In other words, she lives in outer space, at least at the start of the story. So what she is doing is she is helping individuals who are locked into, she's just customizing hardware. So the thing that they have is they have a farmer who can't even, control his own farm equipment because he's not paying the service fees for GPS information. So Sally is basically able to crack that so that the farmer can then, farm his own crops. Well, unfortunately for Sally, her outer space living quarters is basically compromised. So with the help of Wheeler, she's able to get to a nearby rain station and help him with the job that he is currently working on, and in addition to saving Sally's life. But ultimately, they have to bring Sally back down to the planet, where Sally then joins Wheeler and the crew. So
yeah.
And then I guess we should mention at the end of this issue, we're introduced the second issue. We kind of see Doom Scroll for the first time. Here at the end of the fourth issue, we see a character called the Stray. Who is, and I probably should have included the Stray in our list of characters. So the Stray is another threat actor / hacker who does have some history with Wheeler and is involved in some stories as we move forward.
Yes.
So I don't know, you got any other comments on 4?
Just like I said, I like Sally as a character, kind of a, she calls it like she sees it. She's been in space so long that she has to have the exoskeleton that allows her to deal with gravity. I got a kick out of the name of the big firm that keeps such a control on the farmers. It's called EIEIO.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like her. She's like a spacefaring Robin Hood, and it just adds a little bit of sort of just spice to the conversation amongst them all.
Yep.
She's a cool member of the team.
Oh yeah, definitely. So issue 5 is where we get Art and Arf. Okay. Now I do want to read the little blurb here. There's a little blurb that kind of introduces the story in each of these, and we haven't. We haven't read all of those, but this one, Wheeler, the digital Ronin with a mysterious past, assembled his outlaw crew. Martina, Olympian turned social engineering meatwork agent. Eli, master of system vulnerabilities. Sally, renegade gearhead. He thought they would be enough. He was wrong. Fate has other plans, and this is where we get introduced to Art, who is an artificial intelligence. Now I am I am flipping through this. All right, and this is the one where they are basically get put into that Doom Scroll game. Okay, that I mentioned earlier on, where there's a game called Doom Scroll, so
Yeah.
they kind of get put into this game. All right, and as they're working through, then of course we get introduced to Art, who again is an artificial intelligence, who Wheeler is basically able to convince to actually assist them and let them escape out of Doom Scroll, and thus join the team. So
Yeah, they walk through and they get their AR puts them in costumes that fits the Doom Scroll kind of a Dungeons and Dragon
yeah,
motif.
environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we do get little tastes of what's going on in the world. Like for example, here at the end, we can see the Statue of Liberty that's about waist deep now in water. So of course, we've got the whole Earth Rising thing. But when we were in the Sally issue, the satellite they introduced was a satellite. It was named Reign, REIGN, and now we see that they're going to go where 6 and 7 take us. Is this first job that they do together as a group, where they are going after Reign in issue 6 and 7.
Yes.
So 6 and 7, I'm just going to summarize those in one thing.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Yes, sir.
You basically have the first job of the team, and they attack something called the White Mountain. So again, you got to play off of Black Mountain, or Iron Mountain, right? You got the White Mountain, and complete their first job, which also goes a long way to, we have Martina's husband sort of returning in issue 6 and 7. So it kind of finalizes the separation there of that relationship. And yeah, concludes that first job. The Stray shows up, but all of them play their roles so that they can complete the job and bring down Rain / White Mountain in a very literal sense.
Yeah, this you mentioned this earlier, but it does have that sort of Mission Impossible. You could see Tom Cruise being in a movie of this.
Oh yeah.
It's fun. The art was great in this issue. That locale in the mountains of where the Black Mountain the Black Mountain. No, not the strike team. Whatever the bad guys are. What's their name?
Well, there was Rain and White Mountain.
Rain, I
and
guess.
and then Doom Scroll.
Doom Scroll. Yeah. The three.
Yeah.
Those three characters. Yeah. Which they don't have the masks in this, but yeah. I definitely enjoyed. I really was appreciating the art in this one.
So that's kind of a real brief rundown, of what happens. We didn't go into a whole lot of details about each issue, and I probably spent way too much time kind of talking about some of the extras associated with the book than talking about the comic itself. So apologies to anybody who's listening that just was uninterested in hearing that, but I'm sorry, it kind of gets me excited about this book each month.
Well, your excitement about it, I think, it can inspire others to say, you know what, this might be cool. Because, like I said, you don't have to know your level of knowledge or even more to enjoy it, because the storytelling is done remarkably well. I would recommend this. I would recommend you don't get the compact version. It's a little bit harder to read, but I do recommend you read that first story and go on with it if you like.
Yeah. Now, if you want these issues and you are unable to find the original issues, I'm looking to. I got to find. Oh, you can actually order them. Like I said, they initially want you to get them from a comic book shop. All right.
Right.
So, what you can. So after after the book has been out for a couple of months, they then will sell copies of the book on their website. So you can actually go to the Black Hills website, and I'm trying to find it here real quick. So it's just Black Hills InfoSec, and if you go to their shop, where's their shop at? So gosh, okay, Fun Stuff. Here we go. If you go to, they have a link called Fun Stuff, and then a link to Recca, and then they have basically. Oh, that's not the shop though. Let me see here. I don't know. Go to Black Hills InfoSec, and then you can eventually find their shop, and you can order a lot of the issues there. And some of them, like they have some like ashcan versions that they basically give you like some previews for the book. So man, wish I could find the actual website. Okay, so it's it's a terrible name if you're concerned about security. It's Spearfish, which is spelled PH general-store.myshopify.com.
And
you want to go to
spearfishing is a type of
phishing attack.
Phishing attack. Yeah, it's targeted, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So they have currently available issues 1, the second print of issues 2, then they have issue 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now 8 and 9 are listed as sold out, but that's only because they're not selling them yet. They're giving 8 and 9 a couple of months. So whenever 10 comes out, I think 8 will be available for purchase. When 11 comes out, 9 will be available to purchase. Because again, they want you to buy them from a shop.
I think that is
even get.
Yeah, I think that's a very admirable thing. Yes.
Oh yes, I do too. And you can even get the Wild West Hacking Festival annual, which I mentioned. I think I mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned that before we started recording or after we started recording. But yeah, so it's still, because it's not the concept's not for everybody. Pretty much all the books are still available, even though they've gone to second prints for them. They are the only one I think that you might have a little trouble finding is a first print of issue number 2.
Okay.
They have a second print, but they don't have a first print on their website.
Gotcha.
And they sell them for the cover price, which literally means the 404 error issue of issue number 1. You can order it for $4.04, not pay $13.37. If you want the first print, you pay the cover price, $13.37 for the Elite edition. So, you want to grade it, Mike?
Yeah, I'd say the first time I read this, I would have given it more like a 7.5 because enough of it was going over my head, and that frustration of the again, it's not the story, it's not the art, it's just the format of the book, the way I read it. I would have probably gave it a 7.5. But reading it a second time, after I'd read that last issue, the last chapter, I was like, I really, I was rethinking it all, so I read it again, and I'm definitely giving it an 8.5 this time, a whole 1 solid point grade increase.
Well, when we've done these ratings for books, I think, if I remember correctly, I've only ever given one 9.8, and that was for Motor Girl.
Wow.
So I'm trying to decide. There's a part of me that says this should be a 9.8, and that's probably my enjoyment level of this book is a 9.8.
And that's fair, yeah.
When we talk about grade.
Yeah.
However, my official grade for this book is going to be a 9.4.
Okay.
Because I think if you are a person who has zero interest in the InfoSec side, I think there's still enough here with the Mission Impossible themes and the espionage that you can really, really enjoy this book. But if you just have a little, it's like, I liked Mr. Robot, and I like cybersecurity, and I'm interested in stories that are that really moves that up, closer to that 9.8 and 9.6. You know, so if at this point, if somebody comes to me and says, okay, what book should I read? If they don't say they have a strong interest in cybersecurity, I'm probably still telling them Motor Girl.
Yeah.
But if you have any interest in security, then this is a solid book. So I'm gonna go with that 9.4 just because that's that near mint.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, that's near mint. You know, so when we talk about quality, that's still a pretty high grade.
Oh my gosh,
you know?
it is.
So, yeah.
Those increments after 9 become really nuanced. So
Yes.
I like it so much that I think I'm going to gift this version to a programmer I know with my company that I think would really enjoy it.
Yeah.
He's the guy. You think I thought I was a nerd. He collects user manuals for old operating systems or any actual system at all. He loves those old, and I've given him my old DOS, my old, all that old stuff. But I'm probably just going to gift this to him, and I'm going to go get the original issues and continue buying new issues, single issues. So I like it that much. Yeah. So anyway,
and then I'm going to brag. I'm going to do my brag here. So they had, again, that scoreboard, right, where you do those capture the flag things. There have been around 700 people that have actually signed up and have at least got their name on the scoreboard. Okay. Yeah. So at, I don't know, about November or so of last year, they sent out an announcement that says, hey, if you finish in the top 100, we're going to send you a special gift.
Yeah.
So at the end of 2025, I actually, and I checked early this morning, I'm number 23 out of the however many on that capture the flag board. So I got in the mail this week a nice little black box that has the Rekka stickers on the cover addressed to me, and they sent me that mini version that Mike was talking about.
Yeah.
But it is a all black hardcover edition of it.
Yeah.
So it is super cool looking, and I am so happy to have it. So yeah, it is. I haven't even taken it out of the shrink wrap. I don't know if I want.
Yeah,
to.
I was going to ask you that.
It's probably going to stay in the shrink wrap because
you've read it.
I am not worried about keeping these individual issues in like perfect shape because I've been through them and have them out for the captures and it's they have definitely got spine ticks and all that type of stuff. But that one I may try to keep that in a little bit more pristine condition. So so there you go, 8.5 to 9.4 on the grades and maybe potentially even higher depending on your situation. So Mike, can we do a CLZ shake real quick?
Heck yeah. I'm ready.
All right. You're ready, go.
Okay, well, kind of has some relativity to the earlier topic of our podcast or episode here because it's a Mike Grell book.
Okay.
A little bit of a crossover there. It's Warlord, Volume 1, number 129. So this was just a few issues before the end of that run. By this time, it was no longer written or drawn by Grell. Once in a while, you might get a cover, but it was written by, I think, Michael Fleischer, Jan Duursema, and Tom Mandrake. And, yeah, so I can't tell you. I have a full run of Warlord. I can't tell you exactly why, but it was just one of those compulsions. I wanted to get they're pretty cheap to buy. So, it's the newsstand edition of issue 129 out of, I want to say, 133 was the total number of issues that were in that run.
Plus the DC special issue.
Yeah, plus that was a first issue special. And I've got all the annuals. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's see what I can get here. I can't tell what that is. I'm going to turn my phone around. Okay, so we have the Eternals, issue number 8. All right, so this is, of course, the Kirby run from the 70s when Kirby returns back to Marvel. So he basically brings that cosmic and, almost a New Gods type of feel, trying to bring that over to Marvel as well. So written and drawn by one Jack Kirby. I have the whole, you had the whole Warlords run.
Yeah.
I have the whole Eternals run, though it's a much shorter run.
Yeah.
The Warlords. what the Warlords run is. But yeah, so I do have that. I started picking that up pre the Eternals movie.
Yeah.
I had read it previously, but then of course when the movie came out, it's like, I just want to pick these up. Plus it's Kirby. It's even if it's not great, it's Kirby. So it's definitely worth having and keeping in one's collection.
Yeah.
So, and this particular story is focused a little bit in on Crow and Thena. Now they did Crow wrong in the movie because they basically kind of turned him into kind of like just like a mindless deviant. But
Right.
In the comics, Crow, who's a deviant, has something of a relationship with Thena, who was played by Angelina Jolie in the movie. They actually kind of have a form of a relationship. They really did not play on that too terribly much in the movie. So, but yeah, so not a bad book to have in one's collection.
No, not at all.
All right. So, Mike, if somebody wanted to reach out to you besides Bird Comics our podcast at birdcomics.com, how might they do that?
Well, you have my direct email, which is mike@comicshoproadshow.com, or you can drop in a comment or anything onto our Campus Comics Cast Facebook page.
And I'm Scott Reed. You can find me at burgcomics.com, B-U-R-G comics.com, where there are links to my social media pages and eBay store. And we'll be back soon, right, Mike, with
pre-orders. We'll go through
That's right.
Penguin Random House and Lunar's catalogs.
Yeah, to find out what's coming out in, what would that be for April? Because it'll be February, so April of 2026.
Yes.
So, all right, we'll be back then.
Yeah, I need to do a bio break, as they say, and then start my training. Okay.